Well, good evening, everybody. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on. We have about 18 signed up for tonight, so I'm going to give them just one, maybe two more minutes, see if anybody else joins us, and then we'll get started. We're going to be talking about beascout.org pin updates and the application manager tool in my.scouting. If you're here for underwater basket weaving, you have clicked on the wrong link. I'll talk to you in a minute. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started, and folks can join in as they come. Just wanted to introduce myself very quickly. Let me just make sure I'm clicked on the right spot. My name's Kevin McClelland, and I am a field director with the Connecticut Rivers Council. You've got my email address and my cell phone number up there on the screen. Please feel free to call or text that number. Text will probably get you an answer quicker because my days are pretty full of meetings and my nights are full of more meetings. So I can usually text faster than I can take a call, or you can email me anytime. What we're going to cover tonight is very briefly how to update your Be a Scout pin. That process was simplified this year, and I really like what was done with that tool in my.scouting, but we'll run through what that looks like. We're going to spend the bulk of our time talking about the my.scouting.org application manager app, because that's what's brand new to our council, and that's what we're really excited about. So that's where we're going to put most of our time. I did want to mention that this webinar is being recorded, and it'll be posted to the Connecticut Rivers Council YouTube page. You have the goofy link down there at the bottom, which is pretty complicated, but I just Googled YouTube CT Rivers, and it popped right up. We do have two of these because we can't figure out how to deactivate one of the accounts. So if you see videos from 4 or 5 years ago, that's not the one. You want the one that's a little bit more current than that. And last thing, right before we get started, you should see a Q&A function as opposed to the chat function. If you could use the Q&A for any questions that pop up while we're rolling through this. If I don't get you live, we'll stick around at the end and answer any questions that you have. I will warn you ahead of time that this is still a fairly new process to me as well. So I've been reading up on it. I think I have a pretty good grasp, but if I don't know the answer, I'll find it and I will get it to you. So let's just dive right in to what we're here for tonight, which would be starting off with the beascout.org pin update. So what I'm going to do is bring my my.scouting screen over so that you guys can all see this. When you log in, you're going to see the same thing I do. The options up here under menu are going to be a little bit different for you, but not terribly. So if you click menu, the particular tool that we want to look at, you'll see your unit listed down here. You want to click there. You'll see all of your available tools, and this is where I have more than you do, but the one that you want is called Organization Manager. So you're going to give that a click. Now, when you click this, it's going to open up with your unit's information. What I have to do is go through one extra step and pick out a unit. So just ignore what I'm doing now because this isn't something that you're going to have to worry about. And we're going to go over to my buddy Rick over here in Scout Reach. And this pack will go there. Okay. So this should look a lot like what you see when you click on Organization Manager. You'll see the person registered as the charter rep, the committee chair, and then the unit leader, Cub Master, Scout Master, etc. Let's just run through each of these items on the settings because that's going to be important a little bit later on, and then I'll show you the unit pin piece. So membership application approval, this is something we're going to talk obviously in a lot of detail about tonight, but there are two options for adult applications on who is required to approve before they can be registered. The only person that is specifically required by the Boy Scouts of America is the chartered organization representative for your unit. So you'll see that is one option here. The other option is that you want both the committee chair and the chartered organization. So it's not either or, it's both. And so both of those approvals are required. But if you have a unit that relies more heavily on the committee chair, say to call the references and double check the background that information that's included on the application, then having the committee chair be the first line approver makes a lot of sense. But that's entirely up to you. You'll see down here under adult applications that this option is set by the council. Once we get closer to August 4th, I'm going to turn that on. So at that point, your unit has the choice of only accepting youth applications or accepting both youth and adult applications. I'll tell you the only use case where I think you wouldn't allow adult applications online is if your chartered organization representative is not a computer user, won't be a computer user, and isn't going to get into my.scouting.org to approve them. Because if that's the case, then these things are just going to stagnate on there and frustrate people. But I will talk a little bit more about that later on. So anyway, that's where you can elect to do that. One thing you do want to look at is types of youth applications. If you're a Cub Scout pack, you'll have the option of girl only, boys only, or both boys and girls. And in this case, this pack accepts both boys and girls, so I'm going to update that. Now, here's a great thing that's included as an option. You probably notice that as we talked about the application manager tool, that it is going to charge both the national fee and the council fee at the prorated rate automatically, which is awesome. What that doesn't do is it doesn't automatically disclose that your unit probably also charges some kind of a fee to pay for advancements, to pay for equipment, whatever. And so this is an opportunity. If you say, yes, I do want an email to go out to my applicants to say, yeah, we do charge a local fee, and in our pack, it's $50. They've written out a sample format for you so you can see sample email. This just says this unit collects an activity fee to cover the cost of advancement recognition and a t-shirt. If you click insert, now you can go down here and edit this. So you could say this pack collects an activity fee to cover the cost of advancement recognition, a t-shirt, and blue and gold dinner, right? Just type in anything that's relevant for you. Then you're going to click save down at the bottom, and this will automatically go out when somebody submits their application. The other thing you can do is select to automatically send an online registration email that's customizable for your unit. So again, there's a sample provided. We meet as a pack the first Wednesday of the month, fill in the blanks. You'll also meet separately with your den, but now you can really personalize it with information that's relevant to a very specific audience. So if you'd like to do that, this is here for you as well. It's not required, but just suggested as an option for you. One thing to note, if you make any changes at all on this page, none of it's going to save automatically. You have to go down here and click save. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to dive over into the unit pin so I can show you what this screen looks like. So once this loads up, this is where you're going to control the information that people can see about your unit on beascout.org. So right now, this pin is set that only the council can update the pin information. I think I captured most of those when I went through and did some updates recently. But if for some reason you try to do this and it says your pin is controlled by the council, just send me an email and I'll fix that for you. But I just click that button, allow units to update pin information, and then you'll be good to go. If for some reason you didn't want to appear on beascout.org, you could toggle this switch off, and you can see up here the note, this unit will not appear on BeaScout. But we're going to turn it back on because why not? Now here is where you're going to say, yes, we want people to be able to do online applications. You want to toggle that switch. Wahoo. Now, this is where you can add the appropriate contact for the person in your unit that you want to have listed on your pin. This is not necessarily where the invitation manager information is going to go. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but this is the one that's going to show up on the pin. So you can see a list of the various leaders that are in this particular pack. I'm going to pick Rick because he's a good buddy of mine. You've got his email address, his phone number auto-populated. Let's say he wanted a different phone number in here. So we'll just put mine in there for fun. And there's Kevin. And eventually it'll save. There we go. And if we go over here and say, okay, now I've got a name. Now I got a phone number and an email address. You can see that the pin just keeps getting updated. This is what you're going to see at beascout.org once all the saves or changes are saved. Here you can put in a unit website. I strongly recommend you to put something in here other than scouting.org. It's going to pre-populate with that. I've seen some folks use the council website. That's okay. But if your pack has a Facebook page, you could put that link in here. Or if you have an actual active website, you could do that as well. But I would recommend something personalized here. Now, if you look at additional unit information, this would be a great spot to put. We meet Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. at Generali School. We are an active outdoor pack and can't wait for your family to join. Right, there you go. Feels good. Everybody's happy about that. So you're going to have to toggle on the website and the additional unit information, and there you go. Now you've got a really good detailed very good detailed pin that you can preview right here. The other thing that I would suggest is that you put your unit meeting address to go live. That's going to be captured from ScoutNet based on your charter organization, but you have control over that. So let's say you're chartered to a church, but you actually meet at the local elementary school. You just come down here and type in whatever address you meet at. So in this case, I'm going to put 60 Darlin Street, where you guys all know is our scout shop. We'll come down here to East Hartford, Connecticut 06108. Locate. And there we go. Dropped a pin right on the scout shop. So now when people search for that zip code, they're going to end up seeing this pack located in East Hartford. Now, I'm not going to save any of this because I've made some kind of nonsense changes to this pin, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what this all would look like. You can see I made the change down below, and now the address has changed up above as far as where we meet. And this, I think, gives you better information for an incoming parent than necessarily a chartered organization where you don't meet. I think that can be confusing. So here's what a great, great pin looks like. Now, here's very important, just like in the settings that we were just updating, nothing saves here automatically. So you have to click save at the bottom. Like I said, I'm not going to do that, but that's really important so that it captures all the information you had. Now, you might say, okay, I did all that. I'm going to run over to beascout.org and check out my pin. Well, unfortunately, these two systems don't talk in real time. So it's going to take one overnight sync for changes you make in beascout.org, I'm sorry, in my.scouting to show up in beascout.org. So don't be alarmed. Just wait until the neanxt morning or whenever you have a chance and give it a look. If for some reason the change doesn't happen, send me an email, and I'd be glad to look into that for you. Leanne Ruddy, who's on the call with us tonight, she and I were dealing with an issue with her pack and troop, and it was corrected fairly quickly. It took about a day or two, but we did get it sorted out. So if you have any trouble, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So that's beascout.org pin updates. Let's talk about application manager, because I think that's really what we're all here to talk about. One thing I'll tell you is that I don't have access to the same thing you do in application manager right now, but I do have a ton of screenshots that are going to be through the rest of this PowerPoint. So FYI, I'll be able to show you what it looks like, but it's not going to be me navigating around my.scouting. One thing I do want to point out, though, that's really important is before you start this process, I want you to take a moment when you're in in my.scouting, and go up here into the top right corner, click the little silhouette. Oh, nope. We got to go back to the main page of my.scouting. See, I'm still learning too. Okay. All right, here we are. Back at the main page. Go up here to the little silhouette, and I want you to look at my profile. So if you give that a click, what I want you to double check before we get into all this process is your email address correct? Is your address information correct? And is your phone number correct? Which is something that you can add down here under contact information. So if I wanted to put in my, oh, it looks like it's just email. Never mind. But your email address is really important. And the reason for that is that notifications about Application Manager are going to come to you via email a couple of times a week. And so if the wrong email address is in there, then you're not going to be prompted to go out and look at my.scouting to take care of whatever applications you have there. So you just want to make sure this is all correct. This one does save in real time, so you don't have to click anything special. You just click the save in the pop-up box, and that will update the information for you. So just double check, make sure that profile is good. All right, now we're going to go to step 1.5, which is the configuration option. So just as a reminder, we already did this, but I just want to show you one more time. If you are in Organization Manager, In this case, I'm going to drill down to a unit, but yours will automatically populate there. Let's go back to the one I was working on. We'll navigate there. And this is what I'm talking about there, the settings where you're going to pick who approves the adult applications, what gender of scouts do you accept, as well as these pre-populated emails that are automated through the system. So I would encourage you to just take a minute, make sure that information is up to date. Okay. Now, let's say you and your unit, well, let me run through this first. The folks who have automatic access to applications and Application Manager are the unit key 3. So that would be the charter organization representative, the committee chair, and the unit leader. Unit leader being the scoutmaster, cubmaster, crew advisor, etc. So there are other people who will have viewing rights in Invitation Manager and Application Manager if you want them to. So your unit key 3 has access in something called Organization Security Manager. So let me show you what that looks like. So again, you're going to go back up to the menu, go down here under your unit and the tools there. And just as a reminder, the key 3, the unit key 3 are the ones who have access to this tool to start with. So if you are not a part of that, you're going to need them to grant you access to work in this stuff. So Organization Security Manager. Let's do the same thing. We'll go back to my friends at Generali School. And as you can see on my screen, we have the charter rep, committee chair, the cubmaster are listed here, and then you have functional positions over here. So in our system, as you know, during the recharter process, we only collect if you're the unit leader, if you're the committee chair, you're an assistant scoutmaster, assistant cubmaster, den leader. We don't get into functional positions within the committee. You're just a committee member. But different people obviously have different roles on the committee. And so this is an opportunity for you to identify who's serving in what role. So in this case, a key 3 delegate's going to have read-only access to Application Manager, but is also going to have read access to all of the other tools that you have as the unit key 3. So if you want to assign somebody there, you just click on key 3 delegate, hit your plus. It's going to give you the options to choose from anybody who is a registered leader in your unit. You pick a person, pick an effective date, pick an expiration date, and it will pre-populate there with your unit's charter date and the expiration date. Hit save, and that person will be a key 3 delegate. Let's go back. So let me just tell you a little bit about each of these things. The key 3 delegate, again, has access to all the tools. Registration inquiry is the one where if you don't want to have somebody with access to every tool, but you want them to be able to have read-only access to to Application Manager or Invitation Manager, that's registration inquiry. So if you have a leader who is your membership chair on your unit committee, this would be a great role to put them in. Your unit advancement chair, this is going to provide them with some access in Scoutbook, but I believe you can also do that directly in Scoutbook. So that's an optional one here. Unit training chair will allow them to have access to the training tool, training manager tool. So you can apply, put that person in there. And then the youth protection champion would be somebody who's going to be in charge of contacting all of the leaders in your unit to make sure the youth protection is up to date, so they'll be able to get into the training manager tool as well. The other thing this does is if our council youth protection champion wants to communicate with unit youth protection champions, this is where we would generate that list, is people who have populated this position. So this could also be your committee chair. If that person's going to do both of those things, just make sure you assign the youth protection champion to that person. So that's Organization Security Manager, and that's how you get more people with access to the Application Manager tool. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions as we're going, feel free to pop them into the Q&A option, and I will do my best to answer them as we go. All right, let's carry on. So let's talk about the position-specific roles in Application Manager, and I've got one of these for each of the unit key 3. So, talking about the chartered organization representative, this person reviews and then either accepts or rejects adult leader applications. They will also review and then accept or reject venturing adult participant applications. So this would be venturing quote unquote youth who are between 18 and 21 have to submit an adult application, have to fill out all the disclosures, and have to do youth protection training. So the unit leader would normally approve a youth application, the charter rep has to approve anybody who's in that 18 to 21 range that is in venturing or exploring. And then lastly, they can review and accept or reject youth applications. So that is a shared unit key 3 role. The unit leader is primary on that, but any of the key 3 are able to approve youth applications. Okay, looking at the committee chair, similar, can review units' adult applications and make recommendation to approve to the chartered organization representative. So they'll be able to see them, they'll be able to react to them, but they're not officially able to approve or deny. That responsibility rests with the chartered organization representative. And finally, can review and accept or reject youth applications, just like the other 2. One thing I would like to mention, going back for a second to the chartered organization representative, feedback that the national folks have gotten over the first couple of years of this is that more and more often you hear about a charter organization representative who is not going to go into My.Scouting and approve applications. So for the first time this year, starting on August 4th, there will be a new role in My.Scouting that's called the Charter Organization Representative Delegate. And that person is appointed by the charter organization representative, and that person has access to approve adult applications in the system. It's not required. I'm not even going to say it's encouraged, but it is an opportunity for you to fully participate in the online application process if your charter organization representative is not a computer person. So that's coming out on August 4th. More to follow on that. Let's talk about the unit leader. So the unit leader does not have any react opportunity on adult applications, but they do review and then accept or reject youth applications, just like the other 2 members of the key 3, but the leader is the primary person who should be doing this. That's one of the roles that is delegated to the unit leader to approve youth applications. So that's what's going on there. And then, as I mentioned, you can have read-only access to application manager and invitation manager. That's automatically granted if you have anybody serving in the new member coordinator role in your unit. And also, you can assign it manually through the registration inquiry role or the unit key 3 delegate role in organization security manager that we just looked at. I'm going to take a quick breath. Sorry, everybody. It's about 80 degrees in my office, so I'm going to keep slugging this Diet Coke. All right, so let's talk about how to get to application manager. So let me just get my cursor on the screen so I can point while I'm talking. So just like the other tools that we were looking at, you're going to go up to your menu. You're going to select your unit. This is where I was clicking on the council because I'm not registered in the unit, but your unit should show up in the list. And then right up there towards the top, because it's alphabetical, you want to go to application manager. As soon as you get there, you're going to open up a dashboard, and the dashboard is going to give you some at-a-glance information about what's going on with your open applications. So up top here, you're going to see statistics over the last 60 days. The reason that 60-day number is important is because an application will time out after 60 days. That means if you haven't reacted to it at the unit level, it will automatically be reverted up to the district level for attention so that we can reassign it. We'll have a conversation with you. If it's just not an application that you're going to work with, then we can send it over to another unit. But I'll show you ways to process it so it doesn't have to just time out after 60 days. I know this is a little tough to read, but you will see when you're up here. In this case, this one has 16 total applications. 0 days is the average processing time, so they're doing great. Over here is applications in progress, so they're working their way through the steps down here, and we're going to get into all of these in a little bit. And then new applications over here. I think this is your applications, not new applications. 6 are the brand new ones. So that's what the dashboard's going to look like. Let's drill down a little further. Over here in the summary section, what you've got is all the various steps of the application manager process. Again, I know this is really small on your screen, but don't worry about the specifics of it. It's just a step-by-step towards approval or rejection of the application. And you can view if there's anybody who's in any of these stages. You'll have a number over here in these what look like blue bullet points. That's actually there's a white number in there. It tells you how many applications are in that stage. You can click view, and it'll let you go in and check out what's going on with those. Over here, just to the right of that, when you're in here, is going to be that pie graph. This is going to show you how long applications have been hanging out there. So basically, green is good, yellow is okay, and then when you get into the 2 reds, it's, hey, we're falling a little bit behind and we need to attack this process. So if you go just a little bit, you see the bottom of the blue dots. We're just going further down the screen as if we were scrolling. You'll have a list with all the names of the applicants who are pending in some fashion for your unit. So you're going to have, oh, excuse me, so you're going to start automatically. This is going to be sorted by default by the length of time that somebody has been in the queue for your unit with an application in there. You can resort it by name just by clicking up here on name, but this is how it's going to sort by default so that you can work things through chronologically. Okay, you can also, by clicking on this little button that's going to be up here on the right when you log in, you can filter it, right? So if you said, I only want to work on youth applications right now, and they can be in any stage of progress, you would check off all these boxes, hit show results, and it will shrink the number of records there to just the things you're looking at. You may or may not be able to tell, and we'll see a better view of it in a minute, but these guys are a little bit darker than these guys. So this is a youth application, and when we zoom in on that, you'll see that guy's wearing a baseball hat, and this lighter blue, this person's in a campaign hat. So that's how you know a youth versus an adult application, and it'll be obvious once you click into it as well. And then if you finally want to search for a specific application that's in process, you don't spot it on the list, but you know somebody named John Smith had applied to be a part of your unit, you can just type Smith up here, and that will populate that for you. I shouldn't have clicked the button. So if you want to see details of an application, one of these that are in progress, all you got to do is click on the name, and that's going to open up this box over here. So along the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see the scout's name, some basic information about when the application was submitted. This is a phone, that's an email address, and then there are the stages down below, which again, we'll see in just a moment as we work through this PowerPoint. So when you're in this view, this is the top part right here where my mouse is spinning around. That's what you were just looking at with the name of the applicant. Now we're just down below that, and any of the applicants that you can act upon right now will have these buttons available at the bottom. So that means there are a couple of options for you, which would be to accept. That means you've looked at the application, you're ready to accept this scout into your unit. You just click accept. You're good to go. Over here, you're going to reassign. So you would use this if you had a scout family that said, hey, you know, we're really interested in joining, but Tuesday nights are the night that my son and daughter do karate, so we're not probably going to be able to do Tuesday nights. Well, you could say, all right, well, our pack meets on Tuesday night, but there are other packs around who don't. So I'm going to click reassign. And that's going to give the opportunity for the district to get involved and help marry this family up with a pack that meets at a more convenient time. So that's where you would use reassign. Just to the right of that will be return application. That means if there's something deficient here on the youth application, you can return it back. The likelihood of that with a youth application is pretty slim. That would be more likely if there was an adult applicant that you wanted more information from, and we'll talk more detail about that in a few moments. And then finally, the last one is do not accept. So I think the really important thing to note here is that if you're not accepting the applicant into your unit, but you want to help them find an alternative unit, you want to click reassign. You don't want to click do not accept because it puts it into a different queue. Do not accept means that this is somebody who has decided not to join scouting at all, or for whatever reason, your unit is recommending that this person not become a part of scouting, then you would click do not accept. Otherwise, we want to reassign and get it back into the hands of the district folks, whether it be me and Sean or your district membership chair, to help that person find an alternative unit that is more convenient for them. Okay, so this is what I was talking about on that list of names that we were at before. That's that home page when you go to Application Manager down at the bottom. And again, you can tell youth because it's a darker blue and it's a baseball cap, and adults are a lighter blue, and that's a campaign hat on there. So that's how you know whether you're looking at a youth or adult. And again, you can click on the name, and that's how you're going to open up their application and take a look at what's going on there. So we're going back into Billy's application. This is a youth application. So you can have application notes up here. Let's say that your pack says, you know, before we accept applications, we want to reach out over the phone and say hello to the parents. This is a way for whoever makes that phone call to leave notes for anybody else who looks at this application. Or conversely, if you're talking to the family and they say, you know what, Tuesdays don't work for me. This is a spot for you to leave a note for the folks at the district who are going to try to help these guys find another unit. So you're just giving them a chance to jump into the conversation midway instead of having to rehash it with the family. So your notes will stay with the application all the way through the process. The application summary we've already talked about. Down here, you can see as they're working through the stages, and then the application actions. Again, that's the buttons that we just talked through. So like I said, you can add a note. You just have a text box here. You want to keep them fairly short. I don't know that it holds much more than a paragraph. And then you hit post, and it just stays with the application throughout. If you type in something that's incorrect, it's not going to let you delete your comment. Just retract it with another comment to say, oh, type that in the wrong spot. Here's what's actually going on. And it will also add your login information, not like your username and password, but just your username so that folks know who it was that left the note. So if there's more follow-up that's needed, they can get back to you to see why you wrote that particular note. All right. So if you choose, as I said, let me just jump back there, jump back one more. So over here, you can see the different steps of the application. If you click on one of these steps, it's going to open that part of the application for you. So that's what you're about to see here. So we just clicked on step 1. This is review application, and this is where you can see all of that information that you would have seen on a regular youth application that you collect in paper. So here you've got first name, last name, date of birth, gender, the ethnic background, the grade, and then also that you've got the address information there as well. And if there's an adult partner, that will show up down here as well. All right. So you can also reassign. There are a couple of reasons that we talked about already, but another reason to reassign, let's say that your pack is full, or you ended up with 14 tigers this year. You could only dragoon 1 den leader into helping out, so you really are full. Then you could do reassign and leave a note as to why you're going to reassign that person so that we can help them find another option. So when you click reassign, there's going to be a series of options here. And we just want you to give the reason so that, again, we know by looking at this application why it was kicked back up to the district. And so here we've got not enough volunteer help, scheduling conflicts, there are special needs that your unit can't accommodate, too many members, so your unit's full, or if there's other, you can click that and then just type a sentence in there about what's going on. So that's the reassign applicant. Let's go over here. Once you've selected the reason, you click confirm, and then that's going to go into pending reassignment. So you can continue to look at it until somebody from the district goes in and reassigns that application. So it will stay in your active queue, but it's on us to act on it. So that's where they will show up. While that's going on, an automatically created email will go out to the family to say that, hey, this is what's going on. We're reassigning you from our unit up to the district so that they can help you find a unit that's going to be able to work with your family. So that will happen automatically for you. As I mentioned, your final option is do not accept. I don't see a whole lot of use cases for that for a youth application unless you so let's say somebody filled out the online application but was on the fence and then decided not to join, then you could hit the red button there, do not accept. Or if they showed up to a meeting, filled out a paper application, and then went in and filled out the online application as well, then you could hit do not accept, turn in the paper application so that we don't have 2 of those records and the family doesn't pay twice. One thing to mention is that's new for this year, the only type of payment that will be accepted for online applications is credit cards. So there are always going to be some families out there that just don't use credit cards or don't want to put them into an online system. That's okay. That's entirely up to them. But they'll just need to fill out the paper application, pay the pack or troop, and then you guys transmit that to us with payment. So only online, only credit cards. If you click do not accept, then an automatic refund will go back to the person's credit card. That's just going to happen through the system. So that's sort of the final stage, and it zips back to their credit card. All right. So processing adult applications, really similar to youth, but there's a little bit more to it. And so, again, you've got these here. I don't think we have any venturing folks on the call, although John, I know, is involved with the venturing crew. For the moment, we're still accepting venturing quote-unquote youth who are between 18 and 21, but they're called venturing participants instead of youth members, and they have to go through the adult application process. So they're treated the same, but noted differently in My.Scouting. So, again, if you want to filter this down, your list on that main page from Application Manager to just show the adults, you click that filter button up here, and then you come on over here and say adult. If you want to select what status they're in, you can check off the ones you want, or just hit show results. It'll give you just the adults, and then you can start working your way through those. So you'll see this one's been filtered to adults, and you can also see, I know you can't read that, but this just tells you what stage they're in. Pending acceptance, pending reassignment. And this will change color. You might be able to see that this is orange where these are yellow. That just means this one's been sitting out there longer because it defaults to sort by the number of days it's been in your queue. So that's the color coding there. All right, so when you click on the person's name, it's going to pop up and look an awful lot like the youth application. You get the name, you get the information about when they put their application in, you've got a phone number and an email address. If you scroll down, so again, that information is up here that we were just looking at, just down below, it's going to show you the different stages. So the first thing you're going to have to do, and this is sort of an if and only if you remember on a paper adult application, along the right-hand side, you have those bubbles that you have to fill in with background check information. Have I ever been committed of a felony? Have I ever been committed for arrested or been committed of violent acts or acts against children? Any of those things where they would, if somebody selected yes in the background check, then that's the first thing you have to go and look at. So again, this is Chartered Organization Rep and Committee Chair are going to open this up and take a look. So let me give you what that screen looks like a little bit. If you click that, then it's going to show you the list of the questions and then the narrative that the applicant wrote in. So what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to type a, oh, I'm sorry, let me go back. I didn't mean to click there. This isn't clickable. It's a PowerPoint. So in here, you're going to type in your comment. I spoke to the applicant on, whatever date and time. And based on that conversation, I am approving their participation despite the background check information, right? This is a note just to say that you did see it, you are aware of it, and you are acknowledging it. And then you can provide as much detail as you want. But that's the really key, is that, yes, I saw it, I reacted, and now I'm going to click acknowledge. And then you do I acknowledge. It's not going to let you go past this without typing something in this box. You don't have to write a narrative. It's not about paragraphs. It's just accepting that you looked at it and you're okay with it. Now, let's say that you're not okay with it, right? So maybe this person had a felony conviction recently, and you're just not comfortable pushing it through for a background check. You don't want him or her participating in your unit. Well, then we're back here at this stage where you have these action buttons. You're going to click Do Not Accept. You don't want to click Reassign, because then it's just passing that problem on to potentially another unit. You're going to click Do Not Accept, and then you're going to write a quick sentence in there on that screen that's going to say why you don't think this person should be in any unit in Boy Scouts of America. Now, that's not ultimately your decision. That goes to the Scout executive to review, but at least you've given us some detail based on what you think on what you saw here. So again, really important. You got to fill this out. You got to click I acknowledge. That will only show up if somebody has answered yes to one of the background check questions. If they didn't and they were all no's, then you're going to scream right through there. You won't have that red button down here in the middle that we clicked on that said you have to acknowledge it, right? Once you do your acknowledgement that we just saw on the last screen, a note will go in saying, yes, I acknowledge this. So that will stay up there in the application notes that we talked about before. Now you're back down here to the action buttons, and they're the same ones as with the youth, right? Accept, reassign, return the application, or do not accept. Returning the application might mean you want more information. So let's say they answered yes to one of the background check questions, but you're not comfortable with the answer. You're going to hit the return application and ask them for more detail. And I'll show you a little bit more of that a couple of slides forward. Actually, I'm going to show it to you right now. So after reviewing the application, again, if you want more information, you're not quite ready to hit approve, click return to applicant, and then they will get a message, but you get to detail why it is that you are returning the application. So these are the instructions. Now, here's one note in here that's really important. Only one paragraph will show up. So you've got 250 characters to summarize what the issue is. But if you're like me and you tend to write in lots of paragraphs, if you start writing, write a couple of sentences, give a line break into another paragraph, that will not show up in the email. You just have to keep on writing in the same paragraph so that all of your information is captured, included in the email back to the applicant, and then it will go from pending in your unit back to the applicant to resubmit. Okay. Leanne, let's see. Do the key three have any ability if they do not approve an adult because of any of the background liability? So no, Leanne, that's a great question. Liability insurance covers all of this kind of stuff, right? So that was a big question we used to get with the various things that were going on a few years ago, as in terms of what adults met the criteria to be leaders in the Boy Scouts of America. And a lot of charter organizations said, if we opt not to accept an adult leader, are we covered for liability? And the answer is yes. That's all part of the liability umbrella. So you're good to go there if you choose not to. Remember, we're a private organization. Nobody has a right to membership. And so you and your charter organization should only approve adult leaders that you are comfortable approving. Okay. So we're back here to where you have typed in, right? So we just typed in information on the instructions of why you've kicked this application back to the applicant for more details. Now you're going to go here to My Application Dashboard. And when that person logs in, they're going to get that email, but they're going to log in. This is the applicant now, and they're going to see that they need to provide additional information. Then the pop-up box, once they click that, will give you, please make the following changes, and please give additional information about the incident and the screening questions. This is where the stuff you typed into that text box is going to show up live in My.Scouting for the applicant. So they'll get it in the email, but they're also going to see it right here. And because it shows up on this pop-up, that's why you can't have two paragraphs. So that's what's going on there. Now, let's say that you looked at the application, everything looks great. I'm going to hit accept. I'm ready for this. You just click that accept button, just like you did with the youth, and it's going to start screaming through. The only difference here is that you have to identify what position this person's going to serve in, right? So this is where a conversation with the applicant before you approve the application is really important. So you might be the committee chair of a big active pack. Your den leaders have collected up some adult applications at your joining night. You may not have met this person, but the den leader said, you know what, this person ought to be on the committee, and they wrote committee member on the application. And you just trust that because you trust your leaders. That's totally fine. And we get it signed off by the charter rep and turn it in. That is not going to appear in this process. So you have to talk to the incoming applicant and figure out what position they want to serve in and where you want them as the committee chair or the charter rep. And this is where you can select what position that is. So you'll see, you know, this is a Boy Scout list. I'm sorry, Scouts BSA list. So you have Assistant Scoutmaster, committee member, all the different positions. That list will be more comprehensive with Cub Scouts because you have all the den leader spots as well. So you just have to pick out what position, and then you're going to click save, and that's it. Now, what if you don't want to accept the adult? Now you're back to, is it a reassign or is it do not accept? So let's say the use case for reassign is probably that, again, your unit doesn't meet at the right night for that family. Totally fine. Maybe the youth and adult applied at the same time. You can reassign both, and the district will get involved and find them a unit that's more, that can accommodate their schedule. Or you can do the return application because it's defective in some way or another. So those are your two options if you want to reassign, or you can return the application. You can also do the do not accept. But again, this is going to sort of negate everything they've done online so far. And you're telling us at the council that you don't think this person is fit to serve as an adult leader. Otherwise, if that's not the case, they should really be reassigned. Okay. If you select reassign, you're going to be asked for the reason, just like with the youth application, right? So again, not enough volunteer help. Okay, so if this person's applying to be a volunteer, there probably isn't a real valid answer. But scheduling conflicts, again, special needs, too many members, other, and you can put that information in there. So that will reassign them up to the district level. If you select do not accept, you're going to see this pop-up window, right? So you're going to confirm it, and what is likely to happen is that either our scout executive, Stephen Smith, or me or Sean will contact you to say, hey, what'd you see? What was your concern? So that we can have a better understanding in case there's an issue that we need to be aware of, and that person applies to be a leader elsewhere. So we want to keep an eye on that. So there is what happens if you click do not accept. You just have to confirm it one more time. So again, I know we screamed through those PowerPoint slides. You just sat through 44 of those things. So congratulations to all of you. This is that same slide we started with. So again, you have my email address, you have my cell phone number. Please feel free to text or call if there's anything I can help you with, or send me an email. I keep weird hours, so email, you might get an email back at 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning. So this evening we talked about how do we update the Be a Scout pin, what are the different tools and what do they mean, organization manager, organization security manager, but primarily the application manager and approving membership applications online. Again, this has been recorded. We'll be posting this to our YouTube channel, which you can find at this link, or if you just Google YouTube CT Rivers, that'll get you there. However, before we go, I am available if you have any questions. Please feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. Wait around for a couple of minutes, see if anybody throws a question in there. But if you don't have questions, hopefully you enjoyed the webinar. I'm doing another one of these next week, so if there's anything you saw that you think we could do better, just shoot me an email and let me know so I can get it better the next time around. But again, I really appreciate you taking the time to learn about this. We're pretty excited about the application manager process and being able to do this. One other tidbit, and I'll probably add a slide about this for the next one. Your unit will have a specific URL to your applications. As it stands right now, if somebody goes to beascout.org, they can find your unit, then they can apply online. But you can give them, say, a business card if they come to your join night with a QR code and or a web link that'll take them straight to applying into your pack, so they don't have to search for anything. I'll send you out instructions on how to find that URL and how to find that QR code so that you can embed that into your flyers or onto these business cards or anything else that you put out there to help people. Okay, John asked, can we talk about the new fees? I'd be glad to. So the new fees, if you hadn't heard, the national fee went up a little bit. The council fee went up a little bit for youth, went down a little bit for adults this time around. So this past year, a full year's fee was $99 for youth, $75 for adults. This coming year, the youth fee will be $120 for youth and $60 for adults. And of course, prorated monthly. So the nice thing about these particular fees for next year is they're easy to prorate, $10 a month for a youth and $5 a month for an adult. Now, for the remainder of this year, and as far as I know going forward, there's also going to be a one-time fee for a brand new member of Scouting of $25. They're calling it an onboarding fee, and I won't argue the merits of it, but it's out there and it's going to happen. So if you have somebody who used to be a member, left for a year or two, wants to come back, they are not going to be assessed that fee. These are only for brand new members in Scouting, and it's only for youth members. Adults are not assessed the $25 fee either. One thing I did want to mention is we're going to continue our lunch letter program. We think that's really important, even with things being pretty tight this year. I'm sure you've heard at the council office. We are going to keep that program alive. So anybody who qualifies for free or reduced lunch, their fee is reduced to $24 a year, again, prorated, and we will not be charging the $25 onboarding fee for those scouts. So the key thing there is that when the application comes in, they're going to have to use a paper application. There's no way for them to pay a lower fee online. So those scouts will have to do a paper application, and that should be accompanied by either a copy of the lunch letter or a copy of the family's 1040 tax form that shows the number of dependents and what their total household income is. They can redact things like social security number. We don't need that. We just need to see the family name and total income as well as dependents so that we can compare it against the USDA free and reduced lunch chart and make sure they qualify, and then the membership reduction is applied. So that's $24 a year. Again, they do not pay the $25 fee. That's only for scouts who are paying the full freight. So that's what's going on with that, John. Hopefully that answered that question. Let me zip down to Leanne. Someone pays online. Do they pay the prorated fees? They will pay the prorated fee. So just what's left for 2020 if they join this fall. And then when you go through the recharter process, that's when we will collect the remaining $120 fee. And as long as they joined in the fall, they won't be assessed the $25 fee again. That would have already been paid during the fall. Okay, back to John. So if they use the online application, all fees will be collected. Yes, that's correct, with the exception of if you charge a unit fee. So that will not be, but the council fee and the national fee will both be collected. So essentially, you're clean with us as far as a monetary transaction, but the families are going to have to do a separate transaction with your unit. Or if you do things like sell popcorn, and that's an opportunity for them to raise the money for their unit fee as opposed to writing you a check or swiping a credit card. That's totally up to you, but that's what's going on with that one. Hopefully I answered your question, John. If I didn't, come right back at me. All right. We'll just go one more minute. All right. Well, seeing no more questions, I'll wish you all a happy Monday evening. I hope you have an awesome week. And again, we just flip back to my contact info. Feel free to reach out, please. Just know we are a little short-staffed, so I'm not getting back to emails as quickly as I would like to. But if I don't reply right away, I promise you I'm not ignoring you. I'm just a little buried, and I will get back to you. Feel free to be the squeaky wheel, though. So if you haven't heard back from me in a day and it's driving you nuts, send me an angry text, and I'll jump on it. So please don't hesitate to do that. I understand folks need information, and that's what I'm here for. So again, appreciate your time. Have a great night.